What is dynamic creative? Let's cover this in detail. Yes, you know you probably should be doing it. Yes, you've heard it around a million times. Yes, you're interested. What are the best audience to be testing? What are all the things you should be doing? I understand that there's a lot of misnomers out there and there's a lot of things that are very difficult and a lot of things that are very confusing. But let's get down to the number one most powerful piece of Facebook that you're probably not using the right way, the right audience to go to, the right way of thinking about it, and how you should actually be executing it, because those people that do are winning. And if you're not, you probably aren't. Let's help you begin to win at Facebook. Covering today, dynamic creative. Okay, so dynamic creative. What is it? First off, dynamic creative is an ad unit that lets Facebook comprise many different pieces of creative elements. So you can put up to 10 different images and videos. So if you want like 9 images in one video, or like 10 videos, or like whatever you want, you can get down to just one if you want to, because you can also put in 5 pieces of a headline or 5 sets of copy. Now, if you comprise all of those together and you max out all of those options, you can get 250 different ads. Now, there are other options. You can try CTAs and other things, but honestly, those are not nearly as important as the things that we just mentioned, and they're not really even worth your time. So don't bother with any of those. Copy, creative, and headline. That's what's really important. And remember, the creative is what stops the person from scrolling. The average person scrolls the height of the Eiffel Tower on a daily basis. Your job is to stop them. If the creative can stop them, they'll read the headline. If they're interested and haven't clicked already, they might read the copy. That's what gets somebody over the line. Now, why should you use dynamic creative versus something else, and why is it the single most powerful tool that you're probably not using well and that you probably should? Let me tell you how you're supposed to use it and why it works. If you put all of your elements together, that allows Facebook to combine all of those elements in different ways to reach the target customer in the best way to get them to take an action right now. The reason that dynamic creative is so powerful, and the reason that it's really important for you, is because you have to understand the way that Facebook bid works. How does the auction work? The auction, what Facebook decides to charge you for your impressions and ultimately to get a sale or a lead or anything else, is built around 2 core pieces. 1, the budget. 2, the estimated action rate. Have you ever noticed when you try to push up your budget, your cost goes up too? It's because that's part of the algorithm, the algebra. The other side is the estimated action rate. Remember, the ad is the most important thing that you need to be addressing inside of your Facebook ad account. If anybody tells you that there's something more important than the ad, like it's the next audience, the next bidding model, or anything else, you can tell those people that you're done listening to them, because they have no idea what they're talking about. And to be completely fair, I've spent a couple $100 million here and driven many hundreds of million dollars of revenue on top of that. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've learned a lot of lessons. I'm here to try to help you understand what you're supposed to do. Now, if you get an ad with a better estimated action rate, you're going to get a lower cost conversion. Now, what is the estimated action rate? Remember, every ad is actually a web page. Facebook measures the bounce rate and the click rate and the stickiness of every web page, because remember, Facebook is actually just a search results page. It's like Google, but instead of Google, where you type in what you want to see, like YouTube or anything else, Facebook and Instagram show you a curated feed of what it thinks that you want. Have you noticed that it's been years and years since you actually see posts from every single person that posted, and it's no longer in a historic fashion? It's not in chronological order. They started to implement an algorithm to optimize your experience, where Google and everybody best practice around like lots of targeting and segmentation and retargeting and all of these other obsolete things that have no bearing of any success inside of Facebook. Where that comes from is because back in the day, that was the right thing to do. And on Google and programmatic and display and all those other platforms, it's absolutely the right way to manage it, because that is a demand or inventory based platform. Facebook, however, doesn't deal in demand and inventory based. They are attention based. They sell eyeballs for profit. So the way that you improve your bid inside of the ecosystem, the way that you improve your efficiency, where on Google it's getting a conversion rate and a click-through rate and a lower CPC while making a bid to try to get your way to the top of the search result and getting SEO and all this other stuff. On Facebook, it's make an ad that's better. It's simple. Make something that people want to see. Facebook shows ads and content inside of a feed to keep people on the platform. Their number one objective is to keep people on the platform. Your number one objective is to get in front of the right people. So what you need to do is make the best possible ad. Now, I also said what audience you'd be targeting, because a lot of these people are still targeting interest groups and retargeting audiences and chasing around the next best thing, and none of them are out of learning phase. They're constantly chasing their tail and they're saving the same problems today that they were solving 3 months ago, that they were solving 2 years ago, because they haven't bothered to pay attention to best practices that were written years ago. The best audience you can target on Facebook is everybody of the age enough to buy your product. 18 plus, number one audience. If you can run dynamic creative where you're combining all of the best ads against that audience and you win there, you'll never have to do anything besides that until you are spending literally tens of thousands of dollars a day. Like, I used to spend $1 million a day. Yes, in that case, you need to get more complicated. But I used to spend $50,000 a day, or I've spent easily $100,000 a day. And in those situations, getting more complicated got in the way of success. And there's plenty more of targeting about, like, if you really want to get into understanding why retargeting is a bad idea, you can look at the link right here about why prospecting is the only thing you need to do, and retargeting is probably stupid. So I'm not going to cover a lot out here. But what does dynamic creative do for you? Dynamic creative allows Facebook to combine all of the best elements of your ad, your copy, your headline, your images, and your videos to find the right user for the content that you're creating. Now, how is this different than making all 250 ads? Well, 3 things, right? Number one, how long is it going to take you to build 250 ads? And how many mistakes do you think you're going to make? It might take hours or days, and you're more than likely going to screw up at least a couple things. Number 2 is the optimization. Now, if Facebook wants to truly optimize to giving you the best results, do you know how much money it's going to cost you to spend to get meaningful significance across 100 ads, even 50 ads, even 20, even 10? Like, it might cost you hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of dollars to reach statistical significance on any one of those ads to understand which direction you're going in. And then all you've done is tested your way to find the best things, and then you still have to scale them. And you're out so much money. Now, that is an unrealistic way of trying to start a business or be successful. Throw a whole bunch of money at something that's not designed to help you win, that keeps Facebook from succeeding, so that you can eventually find something that wins so that you can make all of your money back. Like, that's a tough game. And most people play that game, and that's why they're losing. The last thing is ultimately, piggybacking on that, machine learning. Facebook doesn't understand what works and what doesn't work when you throw 300 or 30 or 50 or 100 or 200 or 250 ads at people. The things that work, the things that don't. Now, there are some things that when Facebook finds something that works, it's going to be able to find other people that ad should work on. But that's a very different thing than saying, what do these winners have in common? What do these losers have in common? And that's where dynamic creative comes in. It combines the learnings of all the best elements. Instead of having to spend in 250 places, it only has to spend in 10 in one place, and 5 one place, and 5. So it's able to understand at a max of 250 ads that you're making out of the 10, 5, and 5. It only has the max level of complexity of 10. And it's going to find out what element does well, what image or video does well, what set of headline does well, or what copy does well, what piece actually gets a result that people want. And then because it shares that learning inside of that ad unit to make those decisions, you're going to get better and better over time, which basically means that every week it gets easier and easier. And by easier, I mean you are going to have to make this many decisions on a regular basis anyway, and it just gets better and better. And what you can do to even optimize that is start to pull out elements that may or may not work for you. Now, all of that being said, I think what we really need to focus in on here is why dynamic creative works and why, like, how you can build around it. So let me tell you something. Dynamic creative, and we know that Facebook learns, right? The pixel learns, right? Facebook understands what is going on, right? The machine learning is something you can teach. The more money you and resources you throw at solving one problem, the better it's going to get. And that is ultimately going to deliver something that it can build on, so it gets more and more stable, that ultimately allows you to address other variables to improve your performance. That's how Facebook works. If you want to make a good Facebook ad account, you build it around the testing of the scientific method. Simple fifth grade science class still holds true today. That and algebra. You might not have never thought you were ever going to need it, but it's absolutely on point right now, something that you should be doing. So, to put all of that into perspective, what does this all mean? Dynamic creative takes all of those ads. It finds what works. It finds what doesn't. If you can run that against the biggest top of funnel audience like broad, and you let it also see everybody throughout the entire funnel, because remember, your prospecting is already retargeting. Remember that link that I showed you before, where prospecting is all you need and retargeting is probably stupid. It's because your prospecting is already doing retargeting for you. And a lot of the reasons that people focus on retargeting is because it has really good results. And look, there's a whole series on why you don't really need to do retargeting on Facebook if success is something that is a goal of yours. Hey, look, if you don't want to succeed, you can start retargeting people all you want and try to leverage hard work instead of being smart till the cows come home, and you're going to ultimately have to stay up and work hard and get lucky to succeed, because at some point you're going to hit a barrier and you're going to be one of a million other people complaining about how Facebook doesn't work because you're not using the tool properly. What I'm getting at here is dynamic creative allows you to put together the best possible pieces, and as a result, you're going to make the fewest amount of decisions, collating all of your data in the fewest amount of places against the biggest audience possible. And if you can win there, because remember, every day is getting a little bit better, every week is getting a little bit better, then ultimately it's not a question of am I going to win or not. It's just a question of how long until my problem is I'm not spending enough. And by not spending enough, I mean you are leaving too much money on the table. That's a system that you can build. That's a problem that you can have. Dynamic creative will do that for you. And that's something that very few other ad types, very few other campaign types, very few other strategies can honestly deliver. So you can either work really hard and try to be lucky, or you can use dynamic creative to deliver you the best possible results. And now look, there are plenty of other moves you can make after that, but I have 100% seen brands spending $3,000 a day. Look, $2,740 is enough to be $1 million. I've seen brands spending 5 figures a day, and their number one campaign was dynamic creative. And they ended up just getting rid of everything else, dynamic creative at broad, and just had a very systemized way of how they used it. Now, there's a lot of other deep things that we can get into, and honestly, I don't have time here today to deep dive into all of that stuff. But if you want to know more, comment below, and if it's interesting to you and you want to see it, and I get enough, I will absolutely make another video about the next steps, what you should be doing once you dial in dynamic creative. What is step number 2? Once you're spending, $1 million a year and you need to solve another problem because now, this is maxed out. And if you want to know that, comment below. I'll get back to you on it. I promise. Anyway, dynamic creative. I 100% think that you should be using it. The right time to implement creative testing is yesterday. And I honestly can't give you any better advice other than the only thing holding you back is getting started on using it today. So stop getting in your way. Let's set you up for success. I hope this helps. Once again, hi, I'm Charlie. I'm here to help you begin to win at Facebook.